This conference will now be recorded.
So I hope my screen is visible now. Okay. Okay, so in the last session, we discussed about a print function, and then we understood what is slash n slash t, these all the things. Also, we have started variables. So we only discussed what is variable, how to define a variable. But also we understood that variables in Python, it's dynamic data allocation. So we no need to define any data type. We can just define variable name equal to value. But at the time of execution, internally, the Python interpreter itself implicitly it will allocate the data type. That is what we understood. And then we discussed if you want to check what is the type of the variable. So we discussed that we have a function called type. So the type function we can use to get the data type of the variable. And also we understood that we cannot substitute any variable between a double quotes in Python. The reason is we don't have interpolation concept here. So we discussed how to substitute the variable in case if you want to substitute between a single quote or double quotes. We discussed f string, so which is using with f then followed by like something string, then variable name should be between a curly bracket, and then we will get the variable value. So here any questions anyone? So did anyone practiced or still no? No questions? Okay, that's great. Okay, now we will see. So the variables I told there are different types of variables we have. So we understood what is variable. So variable we are using to store the data, but there are different types of variables in Python. So if you see the different types, okay, so the variables, types of variables, okay, so types of variables. So there are different types. So first we call it as a scalar variable. So the scalar variable means, so scalar means it holds only one value. So in Python simply we can say the basic type. Okay, so basic type of variable which is actually scalar we can say. So generally in other language we call it as a scalar like in Perl or PowerShell. That's what, if you are already aware of any other language, I'm just like combining it means if you know that word, like you'll get easily understand it, like even in future if you start PowerShell something like that. So scalar means you can simply understand it holds only one value. So the basic type of variables whatever we have here, so these variables it holds only one value. Okay, so simply it holds only one value, only one value. So that value can be anything. It can be an integer, it can be a float. So generally the types if you observe, it is integer type or float or boolean or string. So these all are actually comes under scalar, which means basic type. It holds only one value. So now if you observe in the last session, so we discussed actually the variables here a equal to 10, only one value we define. B equal to 2.5, one value we define. C equal to Python, only one value, string. D equal to Python, one value. So Boolean means again true, false. Python is a case sensitive. So case sensitive means like it's not like DOS. See, DOS, for example, dir, it will give you like this. Lowercase dir also you can use, right? Because it's a case insensitive. PowerShell is a case insensitive. Python is a case sensitive. So let me copy this path here. So now dir I'm just typing, so it just prints all the files and directories. So now if you see, I'm going to the interactive mode. Then I'm just writing k equal to. So this is important, try to understand here. I'm just writing k equal to true. Anyone tell me now what is the type of this variable k? What is the type?
String.
Is it a string or boolean?
String.
It should be a string, right? Excellent. So the reason we already discussed, whatever we define between single or double quotes, simple, Python it treats like a string. But can we use something x equal to true directly like this? Now what will be the output here?
1,
Any guess?
1
Is it
Boolean
accepts
zero or
now?
1.
Would that be Boolean?
See, now it will give you error.
Okay.
So why error? So what is this error? Name error. Any idea what is name error? Name true is not defined, which means it is understanding this true as a variable. So somewhere it is searching for that variable. The variable is not defined. Let's say now true equal to 100, something like that I define. And then if you see x equal to true, then it accepts because x value is 100 now. I try to understand case sensitive. Python is a case sensitive. That is more important. We need to know here. So if you want to define a Boolean value, capital T, then RUE, true. So it's not 1 0 in Python. Backend it understands like that 1 0. 1 means true, 0 means false. But output it will give you like true, false with the text something TRUE, right? And then FALSE like that it will give you. The same thing if you want to define in a variable, you should write like this, capital T. This is a case sensitive, capital T, then remaining all lower cases. What Y contains now? This is a Boolean value true. Getting my point? So if you are defining something in a variable, it's a case sensitive. We should know that, okay, what we are defining. If it is a Boolean value, then it should be like this. Something like, let's say A equal to false. See, is it printing the output also same way? Yes. Now I can see now I'm just giving 10 greater than 5. So some operation I'm using here, greater than symbol, relational operator. So 10 greater than 5, it will give you output like this, true, Boolean value. Okay, now if you observe here, coming out here, and then if you observe here, the variables I'm defining with this integer, float and Boolean string. So which we already discussed, but I'm just covering now in detail about the variables. So session 3 underscore script dot py and then save as time. Should be all types and then save. Okay, now you can see only one value. A equal to 10 I'm defining, B equal to something 3.4 and then C equal to something true here and then D equal to some Unix I'm just typing. So these are actually basic type of variables in Python. So which means what? The basic type of variables means it holds only one value, which is a scalar variable here. Now we can simply use this variable a, and then we can simply use the variable b here, and then we can simply use the variable c and then variable d like that, right? To display these values. So this one already we know. So now I'm trying to execute this Python then session 3 underscore script dot py. Now I can see it is giving the output 10 3.4 true and then Unix. It is fine. Now if you clearly observe here, while defining the variables, okay, again I'm going to the interactive mode. While defining the variable, I'm trying to use something unequal to 100. So random name I'm using, unequal to 100 I'm using. Immediately it says that syntax error. Any guess why? Why it is giving syntax error here? So did anything I missed? No, right? It is clear and equal to 100. But we got a
Arithmetic
syntax error.
operator.
Hmm?
It's an arithmetic operator, right? And
Yeah, so it's a some operator, right? So which is basically logical operator. So what we are trying to understanding now, this is already reserved already in Python for some purpose, which we cannot use as a variable in Python. So there are some reserved keywords in Python which we cannot use as a variable name or function name or method name or class name. So for example, if equal to 20, not possible, because if we are using for conditional statements. Something while equal to t, not possible. Now how we can remember these names? Is there any way to get all the list of reserved keywords? Yes. There are two ways we can get the reserved keywords here. Now if you see, the first one is you can just type in the interactive mode help. This is a function. A function means open and closed parenthesis mandatory. Now if you check help function I am using and then enter. Now you try to understand here, it is clearly saying that to get a list of available modules, keywords, symbols or topics, type the name as it is, modules, keywords, symbols like that. So what we are actually searching for now, reserved keywords. So we just type keywords, that's it. Now see, I'm just typing keywords. It will give you all the list of reserved keywords. Here is a list of Python keywords. Now if you want to see any keyword in detail documentation, it is again saying that enter any keyword to get more help. Let's say I want to know what is true. You can just type true here. That's it. It will give you the complete idea about true, which is a Boolean one. So you can see there are a lot of things inside that. So documentation. But what is actually we are expecting now? What are the reserved keywords available? So if you want to check, this is one way. So these all are reserved keywords in Python which we cannot use as a variable name, or we cannot define this as a function name, or we cannot define this as a method name. We will discuss what is function, what is method, those things. But since we are in variables now, so we should aware of that we cannot use this as a variable name here, right? So let me copy this here and then I'm just writing here reserved keywords. Keywords in Python. So how we get this? So first thing, you can go to the interactive mode. Just typing in the command prompt Python, you will get 3 arrows like this. So means then after that, if you type help here, and then it will go to the help prompt, and then we will get keywords, list of keywords like this. So you can see Control Z I am using, and again help. So this is the way. So this is one way. So one way to get all the result keywords, you can simply use this. Just type keywords and then we will get it. Or there is another way also. Another way is module. Okay, there is a module name called keyword. So try to understand. I'm using now the word module. In Python, entire thing it is depending on the modules only. So modules are more and more and more important in Python. Because see, so module is nothing but what, it's a just one piece of code, so which we are using for reusability. Simply we can say that. So which is already developed and we are using, instead of writing again and again, we can just use that. We can import that module and we can use it. So for the same way, for the keywords also, it developed one module. The module name itself, keywords. So there are some built-in modules. If you install Python, by default we will get these built-in modules. We will see where these built-in modules available, what is the location, these all the things we will understand later. But now we are just only concentrating on result keywords. So I told there is a module name called, see, if you want to import the module, so we should be in interactive mode, right? So see, I'm going to the interactive mode and then just type import. Except the built-ins module, any other module if you want to use, you should use this keyword imports. Only built-ins module you can directly use dir of underscore underscore built-ins. It will give you the properties from the built-ins. You don't need to import because this is a built-in module. But other than this module, any other module if you want to use, see, let's say for example dir of keywords, it will not give. The reason it's not a built-in module, so we should import that. So import is a keyword to import any module. The import is a keyword, and then what I want to import, I want to import a module name called keyword. It's not keywords. Again check it. One moment, again I'm coming out here. See, I'm directly using keyword. As I told, it is not, it will not work. See, it's not working. So import keyword first we should use, and then dir of keyword. What it will give now, so it will give all the properties available from this module. So we simply ignore this all underscores because it is default for all the modules. We will get like this, but we will also discuss what is the use of this later once if we start modules concept. But you can see that remaining two, there is a is keyword and kw list. Now whenever if you are working with the module, there are two things. One, the properties, it can be a function or it can be a method or it can be a variable. So try to understand. For every module, we'll have maybe methods and functions and variables. So if you are using, for example, function, the syntax is like this: module name dot function name, and open and closed parenthesis is mandatory. If you want to use any function from the module, we use a module name dot function name, and open and closed parenthesis mandatory. Let's say I'm using some variable, so we just use variable name, that's it. Variable name, you don't need to use this open and closed parenthesis. This is just a variable. We just use module name dot variable name. But how we know whether it is a function or variable? We can see that with help. Help we are using to get the documentation about module. So I want to see what is this keyword module contains. Help of keyword you can use. Enter. Now if we check here, it is giving what is the model name and from where actually you can see the reference of this model. So it is actually Python documentation from python.org only. You can see here from this library we will get this keyword model information. But description you can see what actually this model is doing. And now the important one is here. You can see this, there is a name called functions. Under functions, all the functions it will be there. Under data, all the variables it will be there. So try to understand from where we are getting the variable name. Under data tab. Under functions tab, we are getting all the functions list. Now if you want to see some other model, let's say there is a model called a math model. What this math model contains, all the mathematical related properties. So I want to see something square root or trigonometry related functions. All the functions it is available. So import math, it's a built-in model. And then dir of math, I told that it will give you all the properties list. Now you can see all the properties list it is giving. So something like you can see here like something tan and then sine, then also like you can see log and square root, these all the things, pi, like that, mathematical related functions. So now I want to understand that whether it is a function or variable. So why we need to understand that? Because syntax is different, right? So we don't need to use open and closed parentheses for the variable. So how we get that? Help of math. Now you can see here in detail, there is a functions tab, all the functions available here. And if you go down, so I'm using space bar to go to the next page. And then you can see under data, there are variables. Okay. So again, coming back to the keyword module. And again, I'm just checking here, dir of keyword. And then I'm checking now help of keyword. So now you try to understand under functions, we have only one function, that is a is keyword. Under data, there is only one variable, which is kw list. So kw list means keyword list. So we use now module name, which is a keyword, dot kw list is a variable name. So it's a just variable name. I'm not using open and closed parentheses. Enter. Now I can see these are the result keywords. So two ways we can get. I told first one, you can directly go to help prompt and then you can just search with the keyword, or you can import the model, keyword module, and then from here you can simply use keyword.kwlist. I hope it is clear now, right? Any questions? Okay. So these names we cannot use here as a variable name because these are reserved for some purpose. Okay, so now, so this all the things we are going to cover in the coming sessions. Like see, if I start operators, it will cover false, true, and this all operators. If I start conditional statements, it will cover like if, and then it will cover elif, else, this all the part. And then based on the topics, like if I start modules, you will understand what is from and then what is in these all the things. If I start exception handling, then you will get what is except, what is finally, you'll understand. So means everything we will cover it, but it will be like based on the topic we will cover, right? Okay. So now here, so we clearly understood that there are some basic type of variables. So it holds only one value. But if you see, there is another type which is a collection type of variables. So collections, okay. So collection type of variables. A collection type of variables here, we have a list variable. So means it holds more than one value simply. So we have a list and we have a tuple and we have a dictionary and then we have a set. These are the collection type of variables. So first we are only understanding basic type of variables. First we will discuss in detail about that. So we already understood that how to define and then how to verify the data type. But string, we have lengthy concept. So before going to the string, we will also understand that how to take input from the keyboard. Okay. So which means what? Dynamically, I want to take the data. So if you see the variable name, the variable we define static value. So a equal to 10, it's a static value. The value we already defined in the variable, but dynamically the data type it will take, but value is static. But now the value itself I want to take dynamically. So how to take input from the keyboard? Like in C programming, we use scanf. In shell scripting, we use read, right? Like that. So now see how to take input from the user, or we can say from the keyboard. So we use a function here, input. Input is a function. So in Python 2, it's a raw underscore input. So whenever if you see this raw underscore input function, you need to understand this is in Python 2 point versions. In Python 3, we are using just input. Behavior is same. So what is input function here? So input function we are using to take input from the keyboard, right? So now we will see the example here. Now what I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to define some variable name equal to and the input of, and then I'm using here enter your name. Okay, enter your name. So it's a simple name equal to input of enter your name. Now if I execute this, cursor will wait to take input. See now, I'm trying to execute Python, then session3 underscore script dot py. I can see here, enter your name, current cursor is waiting. So the input behavior is what? Input we are using to take input from the keyboard. So now let's say if I type something here, Python, what it will do, it assigns this value to the variable that is name. It just assigns the value to the variable, and then if you want to display, we should use print function, right? So let's say now I am using print and I am using f string here. Hi, name, something, welcome. Okay. What it will do now, it will just take input and then it will display that hi Python welcome. Getting the point? So if you want to take input from the keyboard, we are using here input function. So input we are using to take input from the keyboard. But now one important thing here, if you are taking input from the keyboard, try to understand, this is again important, some little confusion here. The input function, every input it will take as a string. Every input it will take as a string. That is the default behavior for input function. So why it is taking as a string? Because the data it is taking between a single quotes before assigning to the variable. So it means if you write Python, okay, so if you just write Python here, the Python it is taking internally between a single quote. Internally between a single quote, and it is assigning to the variable. So since it is taking between a single quote, it is treating like a string. Otherwise what happens? Now see, for example, if I just print Python, it will give you error, which is a name error. But how it is accepting here? Because it is taking between a single quotes internally. So that's why actually it is treating like a string. So means Whenever if you are giving some input, the input every time it will take between a single quotes before assigning to the variable, and then from there it will print the value. So hi Python, but Python is a string now. You can see print type of name. You may think, okay, this is a Python, anyway it's characters, right? So it is a string, that is the reason. No, even if you are giving 10, now you can see it is a string. Even if you are giving 2.5, it is a string. It's a simple reason, the value it is taking between a single quotes here before assigning to the variable. So that's why every input means whatever you are giving here, the input function, it will take as a string, everything as a string. Now what is the problem with this? So if you are giving just a name like this, there is no problem. Okay, it is very clear. But when the problem comes, now I want to add two numbers. For example, see, I am taking num1 equal to input of enter a number, and then I am writing num2 equal to input of enter a num2, right? And then print, I just want to add these two numbers here, num1 plus num2. So it's a simple one. I am taking input, the first value, some value, and then second value, and then I am adding that using with arithmetic operator plus. Now if we check here 10 and then 20, anyone guess what will be the output now? Yeah,
It will run. It will throw an error.
error. Okay, now
Yes.
options. Is it 30 or error or 10 plus 20 or 1020?
Error.
Which one is correct?
Because it's in string.
1020.
Okay.
Concatenation will do.
So yesterday we covered concatenation concept. I hope you guys remember that. What is concatenation means? Combining the strings, yes or no? If you observe here, we already discussed that. So somewhere we discussed plus symbol. Now you can see this. What is plus symbol here? If both are strings, it will concatenate. Now if you clearly observe, 10 it is taking as a string, 20 it is taking as a string. So what will be the concatenation now? Combining these two strings, output it will be 1020. It's not error, it's not 30. The reason is it is concatenating. 10 is a string, 20 is a string, concatenation 10 plus 20, string, string, just adding these two. So we can see the type here. So type num1, and then we can see the type of num2. Okay, so now see here 10, 20 is a string, 10 is a string, 20 is a string. So this is the problem, like, okay, so if you want to add any two numbers, if you want to add any two numbers using with input function, it is not adding that, it is concatenating because of strings. By default it is taking as a string. So we should know now typecasting concept. So what is typecasting? Typecasting means converting the data type. We can convert the data type also, right? So converting one data type into another data type. This is a typecast. I want to convert here string to integer. Now if you check, I'm going to the interactive mode now, and then I'm just typing a equal to 10 here. 10 I defined between a single quote, and it's a string type. It is a string type. And if you want to convert this as an integer, something b equal to, I'm using int of a. And then you can see the type of b now. I converted as an integer, and then b value is integer. But how we know that, like how we know whether it is a only just int or integer or something str or string. See, it is showing str. So for that we should also understand here internally in the Python source code, these are all the variables whatever we discuss, the names, these are everything is a one class internally. In the Python source code there are classes it defined. Int is a one class, float is a one class, str is a one class. It's not string string, it's a just str. It's a one class internal in the source code. In the Python source code, these are classes. Now if you see, for example, I want to just see that something help of what, something I am using true. I can see that true, it is there under class boolean. So there is a bool class like that. Everything it is one class. We will see now. Okay. Coming out from here. str is a class. Bool is a one class. List is a class. Tuple is a one class. dict is a class. And then set is a class. So these are internally in the source code. It defined as a one class. So if you want to convert one data type to another data type, we should use this class name. Let's say for example, I have a one integer value. I want to convert as a string. It should be str of that value. So now try to understand here. So I'm going to the interactive mode, and then a value is 10. So what is the type of this a? It is a int type. But I want to convert this as a string. So you can simply use str of a. So what is the type of b now? B type is string type. So this is how we can convert based on these names. But let's say for example, k equal to Python. I define Python. So this is a string. It's a characters. So these characters we cannot convert as an integer. Now for example, I am just trying to convert this as an int of k. It's not possible. So we can see value error. What is this value error? Invalid literal for int with base 10. Internally it is trying to convert with base 10. But since it's a characters, it is not possible to convert like that. But when we can convert string to integer, in case that string is a numeric value, but it defined between a single quote. So y equal to something, single quotes, we define this 100. This is a string now. But this string contains a numeric value. We can convert this as an integer. So this part we should know. Okay, now see here. Input function, whenever if you are using, by default every input it is taking as a string here. So that is why like 10 and 20 it is giving 10, 20 string concatenation. But what we do, we convert this data type as an integer now. So now try to understand here. So I'm just using same example, but I'm trying to convert now int of input of. If you write int of input of, now it will only convert as an integer before assigning to the variable. By default, input is taking string, but before assigning to the variable itself, we are converting as an integer. Same here also, we are converting as an integer. Now if I execute again 10, 20, now I can see the output, it is giving 30, and then the type is integer type, it's not a string now. But again there is a problem now. So what is that problem? Let's say if I use 2.5, it will not accept. Why? It is trying to convert as an integer. It is trying to convert as an integer, but there is a value error, invalid literal for int with base 10 for the 2.5. So if you want to take float value, then again we use something like float here, something float of input of. See, float of input of, and again float of input of, right? Okay, so if you are using float data type, you can also provide integer value like 10, but internally it will take 10.0 float type. Now I'm giving 2.5, it will accept here. I'm giving 3, it will accept here. Now you can see 5.5. So basically what this value, it is taking 3.0. So output is 5.5 now, both are float type. But is there any mechanism here? Let's say instead of using integer, instead of using float every time, is there any function to convert based on the input value? Based on the input value, let's say for example, if I'm giving 10, should automatically convert as an integer to the native data type. So 10 native data type is integer. If I'm giving 2.5, automatically it should convert as a float native data type. If I'm giving Python as a string, then automatically it should convert as a string. If I'm giving a boolean value, should convert as a boolean, right? So that is possible here in Python using with one beautiful function called eval. What is this eval function? Eval function, it will convert the data into native data type. So the native data type means what? If I'm giving a value 10, so 10 is a native type is integer type. Eval, it understands that value. Okay, this is an integer, convert as an integer. And I'm giving 20, then it understands as an integer and then it will convert as an integer. Now you can see the value is 30, class is integer, means the type is integer type. Okay, now for example, I'm giving now 2.5, 3.4. Now you can see it is automatically converted as a float. So this is beautiful function here. You can use just eval, and then the only one function, it understands any value, whatever input you are giving, based on that original data type it will convert and it will perform it. So hope it is clear now. Any questions here, anyone? Okay, so we understood how to take input from the keyboard. Also we understood that how to convert the data type, one data type to another data type, typecasting, and then importance of eval we understood. Now if you see here in Python, everything is an object. In Python everything is an object. So what it is? For example, okay, now you try to understand this. So if you define any variable, internally what happens? So let's say now I'm just defining a variable here, something x equal to 10, right? So I defined one variable x equal to 10. if you define a variable x equal to 10, I told that at the time of execution, Python interpreter, it will validate what type of data, this 10, and immediately it will create a one object under int class. So because this is a int type, it creates under int class one object for the value 10. Okay, so for the value 10 here, it is creating one object. So this is a value 10. One object is created under int class. Now for example, I am creating another variable here, something y equal to 2.5. So there is another variable I am creating y equal to 2.5. Now internally what happens when you are executing the code, immediately it will check what is the type of this value. It's a float type, and then internally it creates under float class. I told in the source code itself there is a class already float. Under float class, it will create a one object for 2.5. So it is creating one object for 2.5. So for every object there will be one reference ID. For every object there will be one reference ID. Generally we call it as an address. So somewhere it actually stored that location address is actually we call it as a ID. That is a reference ID. Now that reference ID, it will be the same in case if you are using the same value. But again, we have a concept here, mutable and immutable concept. So that whatever here we are understanding, it will only applicable for immutable. So what is mutable, what is immutable, we will discuss in the next session in the string part. But just for today, you try to understand, if I define a value again, let's say now something g equal to 10. So the 10 value I already created in a x variable, and for this 10 value it already created one object under int class. For this value 10 there is a one reference ID. And again what I did now, I created another variable g equal to 10, and what it should do, it should create one object, but the same value one object already created under int class. So what Python will do now, immediately it will take the reference from here. So means it will not, okay, so it will not create another object for the value 10. It just uses this 10 object reference, whatever already it created. Getting my point? So means x variable reference, g variable reference, both are same because the value is same. So what is the use of that? So instead of creating duplicate memory allocation, it is using just existing reference from the existing reference and printing the value. So it is saving internally the memory allocation, the memory it is saving it. But note here, this is only applicable for immutable objects. But if it is a mutable object, every time it will create a new object, even the values are same. Only for immutable objects, if value is same, it will not create a new object, it will use the existing object. Internally it behaves these all the things. Now if you see practically, now can we check that practically? Yes, of course we can check. Now you can see here x value is 10 and y value I'm just typing 2.5, and again z equal to 10. So we know how to print the value. So while printing, we don't see any difference, we just print the value is same. Value it just prints like x value 10, y value 2.5, z value 10. So here it is common thing. But internally, what is the reference of this 10? What is the reference of this 2.5? What is the reference of this g? We have a function, built-in function called id. You can use this id function to get the reference of this variable. Now if you check here, I'm checking X variable reference. The X variable reference, you can see here, it is something number it is giving. So 182528628 something. I want to check the same way ID of Y. I want to check the same way ID of G. What is the expectation here? The expectation is X value, Z value. I told that it is using the same reference object because the values are same and it created object under int class. So which means ID of X, ID of G should be same now. So now we'll see that. If you run it now, you can see 182528620 is X reference. 182528620 is G reference. So both references are same. So simple, if value is same, reference is same, but this is only applicable for immutable objects. Now you may ask something. Okay, you created X variable 10, Z variable 10, and the value is same. Let's say now if I change X value here 100, what happens? Is it still same reference? No. It is very simple. It deleted existing reference object for the X variable and then it created a new object for the value 100. So now if you check here, ID of X and then ID of G, both are different because the value it changed in X variable, then immediately it deleted existing reference object and it created a new reference object for value 100. Now this object is different, this object is different. But before creating this X equal to 100, same. After creating X equal to 100, it is different. So it just deleted existing reference object completely and it created a new reference object. Now you can see here. So this is the X reference, right? 208, and this is Z reference 208, and after X equal to 100 when I created, then see it immediately changed, but the G reference still it is same. So without knowing this also we can understand, but internally what is happening we should know. So that's why we are actually understanding this part here, what ID is doing, what internally whenever if you are creating the same value, what is happening internally we are understanding. So hope this is clear now. Any questions, anyone? Okay. We also discussed that in Python we always use snake case, not camel case. Remember that. So whenever if you are defining some variables, the variables like this, student, something like this, student name underscore we use. This is how we define in case if you are defining any name like student name, something like that, we use a underscore. These are the best practices in Python. So something like student ID equal to 101. So this is again it comes under variables only. So that's what I'm just giving it. Student name and then student ID. This is how we define it. We are not following the camel cases in Python while defining the variables. Okay. So this is one more thing. It is important. So we understood how to define a variable, and when we understood what are the different types of variables here, so we discussed what is scalar variable. Scalar variable, it holds only one single value, but in that we have a different types: integer, float, and then string, and then boolean. And then also we discussed the list of collection type of variables like list, tuple, dictionary, and set variables. And then we understood how to convert the data type, typecasting, one data type to another data type. But if you want to convert the data type, we should know the exact name. So we cannot use string, right? So it's a str. For that, we understood inside the source code, there are some classes defined already. So we should use only that same name to convert the data type. And then we also discussed reserved keywords. So list of reserved keywords, we can check the two different ways. Either we can use import module name keyword, or we can go to the help and then we can type keyword and then we will get the list of reserved keywords. So these keywords we cannot use as a variable name in Python. And then we discussed what is input function, how to take input from the keyboard, and then how to convert the data type even if you are using input function. For the native data type, we use eval function for that. And then we discussed here internally how it is allocating the memory location, how it is creating the references for each and every variable. We can also check that using with the ID function. So any questions as of now? It's almost all the basics we completed. Any questions? Anyone? So hope you guys are following. What is the snaker case? Okay. So this is the one, right? Snake case means snake case is nothing but underscores. We follow just underscore like this. Camel case is nothing but we follow like camel case. Like we write capital S student then capital N equal to. This is how we write a camel case. So Python we follow snake case, not camel case. Getting my point? This is a camel case. In Python we follow this. Okay. So simple. If you see, this is actually important because these are our best practices. If you just type snake case versus camel case, see, it will just give you here. So when you type in Python, basically, so there are different, as you can see here, user underscore name. This is how in Python we define. Let me show you something. Not this one, just more understanding. That's it. Okay, you can see now. Oh, you can see now. So this is a snake case underscores. So Docker, like in Devops, most of the times in Ansible and all also we use the same step. So see, call underscore method, Python method. This is a snake case. But if you see the same thing, camel case, this is the one, capital letters, file not found exception. You know, if you observe here, while giving the error, it will give in camel case. Let's say now, for example, I'm just typing something print A. If you observe, this is a camel case. Error is coming in camel case, but while defining the variable, we should use snake case. Getting my point? So see here. Now let's say now I'm trying to convert. Assume okay, I have a something Python A equal to, and I'm trying to convert type converting int of A. See, this is a camel case value error. All the exceptions errors it is coming in camel case, but while defining the variables we should use snake case in Python. So hope it is clear now, right? Yeah. So let me see the chart here. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all then. We'll stop today and tomorrow we'll start strings in detail. So that is more important again. We will try to understand what is function, what is method, the differences and all we'll discuss. Thank you all. Have a great day. We'll connect tomorrow. Thank you.